Hello my lovelies. So first of all I'd like to say thank you to everybody who signed up for my 8-week Goddess Empowerment course. I really am a firm believer of frequency and vibration. So there would have been something in my vibration and what I was putting out there that resonated with you for you to say, hey, yeah, I'm up for some of that. So I'd like to say thank you for vibrating at my frequency. It is amazing to have you. Thank you also to everybody who was there for the full moon intention ceremony, the first one. So what you're about to watch is some little bits of information that I've put together, some tips and tricks for the next 8 weeks for you to follow. I have touched on a lot of these subjects in short because I wanted to kind of get the most important information to you in the first week in preparation for the next 8 weeks. And I will be sending you a video after every week's ceremony and probably a new meditation each week as well. I'm just getting really inspired. I'm getting all these messages from spirit and all these ideas. And if you've got any questions and anything that you perhaps think that maybe you'd like to hear me talk about, then again, please let me know, because as much as I'm being very much guided by my heart and spirit with the compilation of this 8-week course, I am also being really inspired by you guys. Initially I started this course off and it was offered to, single women that want to cut the cords. But as people are saying that they want to join, I'm having to realise that, there's people that are in relationships, so they're not single women. I've even had some guys saying that they're interested. So I'm actually broadening it for you guys. So you guys are my inspiration. So make sure, you let me know any ideas or any information that you'd like me to expand on, because I'm of service to you, because I love you and I just want to give back as much as possible. So check out all the information that you're going to watch. And again, I love you and thank you so much for resonating at my frequency. We are all one and we are all love. Sat now. Hello. I would like to share with you my story in finding myself in love. So I have been on a quest. I didn't really know what the quest was whilst I was on the quest, but I've been searching for love and I was putting it in other people. So I was searching for it in all the wrong places because of my programming. And then one day I just had the most amazing and profound epiphany ever, and it was that eureka moment. So I'd been with a lot of wrong uns, you could call it, and I found myself in this final wrong un. I've just come out of this relationship and it was awful, and I was just literally in so much pain. I was crying my eyes out. I was literally on the floor in my bedroom and I was sobbing like a baby. I was in fetal position. I was howling like, why, please, why? I literally threw my hands up to the heavens. I prayed, I put my hands together and I was like, please, why do I keep finding myself in these really unhappy situations with these people who are unable to give me the love that I am yearning and craving for? And it was just so profound. So basically I was just in this heightened state of feeling, and in this heightened state of feeling I just remember seeing all the guys that I'd ever loved in my mind's eye. And I remember looking at them and thinking, I was so in love with you. Like, I would have died for you. That is how much I loved you. And you was an arsehole. And then I looked at the next one and I thought, I loved you too. I was so in love with you. And you was an arsehole. And I did it and I went through it and I just thought, why have I been in love with so many assholes? Like, what is the common denominator? And then all of a sudden I just had this amazing just eureka moment, and I just realized that the love that I was feeling for all of these guys, it was my love. the love that I was choosing to project onto these assholes. It was me that was love. It was my love all along, and it was coming from inside me. If I could feel this love was mine, and I owned it. And in that moment, I just decided, I declared, I'm taking my love back. And I sort of cosmically just reclaimed all this love, and I just filled myself up with so much love. I felt like at the end of The Fifth Element, you know, when if you've seen it, she's just like, just beaming this love, and I was like literally shaking, like I was in tears of this profound, like, oh my God, I get it, it's my love, I am love. And if I can love all of these assholes who weren't very lovable, all right, we're all lovable, but they weren't, then I could love, if I chose to, I could love a paperclip just as much as I did. And it was in that moment that I decided that I was going to own my love. I was going to emanate love, and I was going to love as much as I possibly could, because I was love. So, coming from that, I am just feeling really, really drawn. So it was after this epiphany moment that I had that then I went through I was guided by Source to do some intense auric cleaning, some energy cleaning of any energies that I had connected with through, you know, all this searching for love in other people. And I did a Venus retrograde. It was an intense sort of cleansing, cutting the cords. I reclaimed my own sexual energy, and then a year later I got with my best friend, and a year later we gave birth to our little boy, and I'm happy. So I've been searching for love in all of these places, and it was the second that I found it within myself that then the universe then gave me that love in another person. And I am just feeling really called more than anything to teach anything that I learn, any tips and tricks that I did. Venus is the planet of love. And what happens during Venus retrograde is that Venus would appear to be going backwards, and usually during Venus retrograde, which can last like a good 8 to 4 months, what happens is you may have exes pop up, resurface. You may, if not physically, you may have thoughts of them popping up, you may have dreams about them. And this is happening because the universe is calling you to resolve and cleanse any connection that you had with them. The universe doesn't show you things that aren't there for a reason. During Venus retrograde, it's a really good idea to utilize that portal, and instead of being taken over by it, take control of it and use that portal and that energy to actually actively and consciously do the work. Cut the cords of all the guys that you've been with and manifest and cultivate this new self-love and this new goddess energy within your own being, so that you can go out and emanate it to the world. So an important thing to consider when it comes to doing all this cord cutting and energy work is that every guy that you have ever been with, or girl, you know, you might be that way, any person you've ever been with, what happens is it's not just on a physical level that you're merging, it's actually on an energetic level. When you energetically and spiritually are intimate with somebody, you literally merge with their energies. A man's energy can stay within a woman's energy field, in her auric field, for 7.5 years. That's Kundalini science, that is. Imagine all of the guys, not I'm saying there's loads of them, but all the guys you've been with and all the girls they've been with and all the guys they've been with. Imagine all this confusing energy that you've gone out and done because we've not been actively doing this energetic cord cutting, which is essential every time. Before you get into a new relationship, you have to cut all the energy and the cords of all the people that you've been with, because otherwise you're carrying the essence of that into your new relationship. And it is no wonder why we do witness a lot of relationships sort of being unharmonious, because everyone's confused. Everyone doesn't know whether it's their energy that they're picking up or anyone else's. So that's why it's so important to do this energy work. And I'm going to be offering you some really cool tips and techniques in order to do that. And I really encourage that you use the whole 8 weeks to just try and do it as much as possible. Did you know that actually semen is an antidepressant? It's got all sorts of good hormones in it that actually when a woman receives it, it sort of soaks into the vaginal walls and it actually goes through her bloodstream and then it hits the brain and it sets off all of these happy hormones. This is another reason why it is an idea to look at how we can become addicted to men. So it's not actually the men that we love, it's actually our body and the pheromones and the hormones that are all circulating around us that is making us think that we are in love with them. So when we find ourselves in sticky situations with guys and we're like, I love you, you're the love of my life, which I had so many times, actually it's quite a good idea to just bring it back to the facts. And the facts is, I don't love you. Well, I do. We all love everybody. We are all love. But my body is telling me that I love you. And it's that aha moment that actually it's not real. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is that it has actually been found, science has found, that women can contain male DNA in their brain. You know, it's just been found through science. They've not completely concluded the reasons why. They are swayed towards the fact that perhaps if she's had a male baby or maybe a miscarriage or a termination, that would be the reason why the male DNA is in her body. People are suggesting that it's the semen as well, like the men, that we can actually take the DNA, the physical DNA, not just the energetic DNA within our body. So we are carrying this within us. It's another reason, even more reason why, you know, sexual cleansing and cord cutting is so important for our own, finding our own sovereignty and our own divine wonderfulness. When a woman is in touch with her own sexual potency, her own energy, what happens is she literally connects with divine source energy, and then when she is intimate with a guy, she takes him there and he feels this unconditional love that she is connecting him to. So when we look at it that way, this is how we must realise that we are fucking powerful. We are so amazing, and we've gone around giving our power to all these guys like, please love me, oh please, oh why don't you love me? And we've got the power all along. The power is with us and we need to reclaim it and we need to share it with our sisters, and yeah, we need to just come back to the power of the goddess. We are empowered goddesses. So I'm going to share with you the cord cutting technique that I used, which I got from a lady called Layla Martin. Basically, I added my own little spin on it as well, which I encourage all of you. So as women, we are feeling creatures. So whatever feels right to you is right. Always, always trust your intuition, trust it, because it is our superpower. Her technique was, and it makes sense as well, not her technique, her theory. So because every guy that we've created this energy connection with, we've created this connection whilst in a state of arousal, basically. Her theory was that in order to cut the cords, you need to get yourself into the state that you were when you created the cords. Basically, you sort of have to turn yourself on a little bit, so have a little bit of a play. You haven't got, you know, finished the job off, but just get yourself, you know, sexy, basically. So I personally, before I got in the bath, I would completely smudge myself completely from top to bottom whilst naked. I'd get in the bath, I'd have loads of salt in it as well. I would also put crystals in the bath, so I had like big chunks of rose quartz and stuff, so the water was infused with unconditional love. And then what I would do is I would get myself in an aroused state, and then I would close my eyes, hold my breath, clench everything, fists, everything. Hold it for as long as you can, and then as you breathe out, imagine a white light just cleansing you from the top all the way down, and imagine that cleansing light just releasing you of any sexual energy that you've created. And then you do that 3 times, cleanse it, and then at that point you've got one of 2 choices. You can finish yourself off, which I tended to do, because it's a great excuse to get in touch with your own sexuality. And there's something quite powerful about, and a lot of women sometimes don't like to talk about self-pleasure, but this is the taboo subject that we need to do. There's something quite powerful in knowing that you can give yourself an amazing orgasm, because then it takes away this, I know it's nice to be with someone and to canoodle them and stuff like that, but when you can take yourself to ecstasy, you kind of know that actually, you know what, I can sort myself out, so I don't need you. And it gives you this kind of empowered thing. So yeah, you've got 2 options. You can finish yourself off, or you can just enjoy the rest of the bath, meditate. I would then, at that point, would put on a cord cutting meditation, which I'm going to record for you, so you should have access to that. So you can listen to my meditation, or you could find another one on the internet. Archangel Michael is a really good one, a cord cutting one. So I would do a meditation, and then afterwards I would just unplug and I would just watch all the water come out, and I wouldn't get out of the bath until all the water had trickled away, and I would imagine it, all of the uncleansed energy. I would just imagine it was the water and it was just taking it away. And I wouldn't get out of the bath until all the water was gone, and then I would get out, and then I would completely cleanse myself again with the smudging. Agua de Florida as well is another good one, pack yourself with Agua de Florida. And I would just feel so refreshed and cleansed. I also used to use yoni eggs, which I'm going to talk about that in another thing. I am not telling you what you should or shouldn't do. I'm offering you wisdom and tips and tricks that I used, and I want you to use what feels right for you. I really do. You haven't got to finish yourself off if you don't want to, but I do feel really strongly that it makes complete sense that if you've got this energy connection whilst in an aroused state, that it makes sense that you should be in an aroused state in order to cut it and let it go. So I do feel strongly about that. But again, whatever feels right for you, please just go by your own inner guidance, because that will never ever serve you wrong, ever. But I did this ritual as much as possible. Every time I got in the bath, it was always ritualistically. I was getting in the bath, and I found a shorter version of the cord cutting technique. So I found one online which was 45 minutes. What I've created for you is a long version and a short version for you to listen to do this cleansing. Again, you could even do it in the shower. It doesn't need to be in the bath, it could be in the shower, but just imagine the water just cleansing and taking away any of this energy, because a lot of it is intention. Energy can't be seen, but it is there. This is what people don't understand, is that you can pick up a phone, 2 mobile phones, and they're connecting wirelessly, but we find it really hard to imagine how energetically people can connect. So on an energy level, it's really powerful. Just your intent and cleansing and releasing of anything that no longer serves you. So what I would suggest is that you just do it as much or as little as feels right for you. You could do it once a week, you could do it every time you had a bath, you could do it when you get the call in. It is just all a personal choice and intuited from you and your womb space. So the salts that I used was a pink Himalayan salt, which is very good for you. You can get all sorts of Epsom salts. I would check out the ingredients. Another thing that you could do, which is quite fun as well, is you could add herbs. You can go out and you can pick some lavender, some rosemary, you could put that in it and really make it like really ritualistic. I used to put candles in it as well, and often it used to bring me to tears, and I would enjoy the tears as beautiful expressions of my divine feminine, because that is such a powerful quality of the divine feminine, is that she feels, and she's not afraid to feel, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's hurtful. Like the time I had my epiphany, like I was in so much pain. I really got myself into a really sticky situation with this guy and with his ex, and you know, it was just like I just felt so torn between all these peculiar energies, and I just needed to clear. I was just in so much but it needs to be felt. It's there for a reason, and we need to honor it and feel it and allow it to move itself through our body. When we can do this in the bath and in the water and do it really ritualistic and do it with purpose, then that is when some really powerful stuff starts shifting and moving for you. Another thing that is really powerful as women is to use the power of your menstrual cycle. So for years I wasn't even having a cycle. I had my son, and then I was breastfeeding, which stops your period. Then I went on contraception, and then I didn't have a period because the contraception obviously stopped me from having a period. And I was confused. Every month, every couple of months, I would get all depressed and I'd cry, and I did not know at all about hormones, and I didn't understand what was going on. And just over the years, I got more and more depressed, where I was just falling into this hole. And when I did feel depressed, which now I realise was because I was hormonally having a cycle without actually having a cycle, I would then sort of focus on all the things that I wasn't happy with in my life. I would focus on the fact that I was single and nobody loved me, and I would just literally dig myself into a deeper and deeper depressive hole of feeling unlovable and unworthy. And actually what I should have been doing is I should have been using that time, if I'd known I was having a cycle, to actually do the work, to do the releasing, and to honour myself and honour my body for what it was trying to show me. When we have a period, blood cells are releasing themselves from our body. They are literally coming out of my body. We know they're coming out of our body because we see it. So if you do it with intent, I always give myself at least one day during my period to feel sorry for myself. I might, well, it's not so easy now because I've got a baby, but I would just literally take a day off. I'll turn my phone off. You know, my partner, my son, they know, you know, it's mum's having a period holiday. You could call it a holiday. And I would just focus on whatever's coming up for me, and I would cry, I would release, I would let it go. If I'm emotional, I was going to do it with purpose and meaning, and I was going to make use of it. Sometimes I didn't know why I was crying. Sometimes I was just crying for, you know, all the women in my family who were never able to feel and release whatever hurt and upset was coming up for them. If I didn't have anything that was prominent for me, like something that to come up, I would cry for all the other women out there who couldn't cry, who didn't understand the sanctity and the divinity of their womb. I would really recommend using your period as well. Over the next 8 weeks, you should have a period. If you're not, I don't want to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. All I can do is tell you what felt right for me. And there came a point where it felt right for me to remove any hormones from my body that wasn't making me feel naturally how I should feel naturally. Because when I felt natural how I should be with my hormones, then I could make some sense of them. Whereas when they're being manipulated by certain hormones and medications, again, you know, the same with the whole energy thing. You don't know if it's you or if it's the medication and stuff like that. You should hopefully have a period over the next 8 weeks. And what I would recommend again is during that time to really bleed with purpose. So if we're doing this during this program and it's a lot of cord cutting, then I would suggest, again, if other things come up for you, then follow that lead. But I would suggest that we consciously use it to release any energy, any cellular, restructuring of our DNA, to just release and cut the energy of all these auric fields that they don't belong to us anymore. So that is a really, really potent tool to utilise and to carry on using all the time. Because again, so in the olden days, in ancient, tribes, and they still do it as well, and we're getting a renewal of it, the women would all go to a red hut when they were all on their period, which would usually be around the full moon, and they'd all go down there together and they'd meditate and chant and look after each other, and they would receive messages from the divine. And it completely makes sense. So if their womb is open, if they're bleeding, they are then connected to the divine. They're more emotional, they're more sensitive, they're more feeling. So they're tapping into this divinity. Afterwards they would come out, and all the tribe, all the men would come up, and they'd be like, what messages did you get? And then the tribe would be guided by the feminine, by the intuition that she was receiving. So this is how powerful we are as women, is that we were actually, the tribes were guided by our womb. And then you can also look at the whole fact that there was all these medicine women that was burned and drowned as witches by the Catholic Church. Why? What was they afraid of? Why were we so feared of? Because we were so powerful. And then we've got this masculine patriarchy society that's going on, and this is where we really need to come back to our feminine. This is where the divine feminine needs to flood over the whole of planet Earth, and we really need to start implementing this new energy, this divine, loving, harmonious, compassionate, balanced energy, in order to make the world a better place. And it really can get there if we all jump on board the Return to Love train. So another thing that some women are doing a lot of now, and again, I invite you, if it feels right for you, is to give their blood back to Mother Earth, to offer it back. I know it might sound a little bit icky, but you can get these things called moon cups, which capture the blood, and then you give it back to Mother Earth. So it's like a recycling and an honouring. So you've released those cells from your body, and then you're offering it back to Mother Earth. So that is another thing that may fit well with you. A lot of women are doing it. They feed it to their plants. It is full of the most amazing stem cells and nutritious stuff. So it is a nice thing to give back. But again, whatever feels right for you, please just do what feels right for you. These are all just suggestions. Self-pleasuring can actually be, and sex with another person, can actually be a powerful tool for manifesting. If you look at it this way, so if when we are on our periods, if when we are growing a child or giving birth, our wombs are connected to this divine sacred source that is incarnating souls through it. Imagine it like this. If you are in this heightened euphoric state, you are connected to the divine, you are connected to the goddess, the god, the prime creator, all that is. So if you're connected to it, why not send out your wishes? So this is what I would do as well with my cord cutting rituals, is I would, if I finished myself off, I would, when I got to that peak moment, I would literally just send out, like, I want self-love, and I want to share love, and I want to spread love, and I want to be a positive influence in the world. And I wanted to manifest, a guy who was on the same frequency as I was. So I would send that out to the universe. I would recommend that maybe you try and jump onto it. So not only is it fun, but it's also sending out your wishes to the universe. And why not? What a wonderful thing to do. So the same would work with two people together. So if two people are coming together and they're, getting into a heightened state, and basically both orgasming, if they're both doing it with the intent, the Holy Trinity would be the intent to create life, but they might have the intent of just being one with love and universal consciousness. When you're sending that out, if two people are sending it out there, then it's even more powerful. But you need to remember that the men don't get any of this. They don't understand any of it. If we are learning it within ourselves and we are cultivating this sacred energy, then we can then start teaching the men, and we can start bringing them in on this wonderfulness, this womeriness as well. So a really cool thing to understand as well is with women and orgasm. Women tend to contract. They tend to sort of hold everything up. And what it tends to happen is when she reaches that state of ecstasy, she sort of is tight, and then it lets go and it sort of releases. And that's normally how a woman orgasms. What is the best way to do it is to actually practice opening up and releasing and relaxing, instead of sort of holding it tight and, you know, waiting until you get that, is to actually practice letting go. So when you are self-pleasuring, self-loving, that's another way of putting it, when you are self-loving, if you imagine your yoni, which is another word for your pum-pum, your vagina. If you imagine it open, it would not even imagine it, actually practice opening it up. And then when you are pleasuring yourself, when you feel it tighten, breathe into it and imagining it opening up again. Because that is how you would get yourself into multiple orgasm state, because it's open and it's released and relaxed. That is a really, really cool thing to practice when it comes to self-pleasuring and to recultivating and reclaiming your own sexual energy, is to practice opening and releasing. And the act of sex, you know, on yourself or with another person, it is really like a divine form of meditation. It's like, get yourself into that place, open, relax, and take them or yourself to this divine, euphoric place of unconditional love, which we are all a part of. I used to use yoni eggs. So yoni eggs are amazing because they work on so many different levels. So not only can you use them as a sexual tool, basically they're crystal eggs. They're made of all sorts, from jade to rose quartz. You can even get onyx. What you do is you basically pop them in. Your muscles they automatically hold on to them, and it's basically like training your pelvic floor muscles, to get nice and tight, which, you know, nobody's ever complained of a nice tight pussy, excuse the language. So first of all, it gets it tight, but also on an energetic level, you've got this healing crystal that is inside your sacred space. And the intention of it, if you was to sort of send it and give it like a little wish and say, I want you to sort of remove any energy that doesn't serve me, even on that level, you know, wearing them is a really powerful. You're actually wearing a healing crystal inside you. It can help make sex better. It can make everything nice and tight down there. So initially I would suggest using a yoni egg, just maybe a couple of hours. You just pop it in and just leave it in there for a couple of hours, and then you just build it up. Basically, there's nothing you need to do other than pop it in and let it do its work. There has been a few occasions when I felt it like slipping out. I'm like, okay, right, maybe my muscles are a bit tired now. And the other thing as well is always remember when you go to the toilet, because I've dropped a few down the toilets and then I've had to fish them out. And you don't need to use it if you don't want to. It's not compulsory. Part of the pre-homework that you need to do before the program begins is I invite you to list all, if not as many, of the people that you have been intimate with, because you will want to basically go over each one of them one by one and release and cut the cords. What might happen is one or two or a few of them may pop up in your psyche as a bit more prominent, that you need to work on them a little bit more. You might need to do a little bit more release work on them. Again, it all comes down to intuition and what feels right. So if there's a particular person that sort of keeps popping up in your psyche, then do the work on them. Also, because there might be some that actually maybe you didn't feel that you know, they impacted you as much. You could generalize your cleansing ritual as well. So it could be just sort of general, just I want to cleanse all the energy of the people that I've merged my energies with. Again, you might not remember some of the people that you've been with. We've all done things unconsciously. We might have been out on a night and we might have had a drink and then gone back and we might not even remember his name. You know, that's fine. We can do it as a generalized thing. It's not a problem whatsoever. But personally, for me, it just felt right to sort of at least do one cleansing ritual for each of them, and then if there was ones that sort of I felt needed a little bit more work, then I would focus more on them. What I'm going to ask you to do is to list all the guys you've ever been with, because next to all the cleansing work, there is also going to be some work alongside where I am going to be asking you to sit down and consciously investigate what you learned from the relationship, what lessons you can take forward, what were good about it, what was bad about it, and to intellectually come up with a completion of that relationship, so that then you can not only energetically cleanse aurically what's gone on between you and this person, but also intellectually make sense and let it go with your mind, because there's the soul and then there's the mind. We ate from the tree of knowledge, which is when we started thinking, and before that we was very animalistic. We was just feeling and we was just sort of being animals. You imagine like cave times, and then we started thinking, and that's where it all just sort of went out the window, and things started getting a little bit messed up. So we are thinking machines. We should be feeling machines, but we are still in this trying to bring them together. In order for the energy work to really be as potent as we would like it to be, sometimes we need the intellect to sort of get on board as well, and to make friends with it. That's why we're going to be doing this work, and I'm going to be sending you some questions, and just use the next 8 weeks to really investigate and work out the benefits that you gained and what you should take forward into future relationships, what lessons you should learn and what you should and shouldn't do, because otherwise it's just all a waste of time. Otherwise you've just been in these relationships and you're just going to repeat it. You're going to go and meet the same kind of person but just in a different skin. We have come here as souls to learn lessons. Now, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, the universe will give you the same lesson over and over again until you learn it. Sometimes we need to sit down and we actually need to do the work and go, right, what was I supposed to have learned? What was my soul's purpose in learning this lesson right now? And when you've got that in, everything else can just kind of fall in place, and it really does make an effect to your all-round well-being and what you're going to manifest into your life. So that's about enough for now, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the little snippets of information that I've given you, and what I will remind you is that if any of it wasn't relevant to you, then what I want you to do is take the bits that do fit well and just put the other bits to one side. Also, you might want to use your creativity and your imagination, which again is a very feminine trait, a very feminine quality, which again we've all got inside us. We've all got masculine and feminine. So use that creative energy and tweak and manipulate it to fit you, because this is all a very intuited, guided. You are all going to do your own journey with this next 8 weeks. This, I can tell you what I did, and this information that I'm giving you is from my perspective, but your perspective is different. So please tweak it and take whatever you want and create it and make it your own, because what you feel is right will never serve you wrong. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I love you, and I look forward to seeing you next week.